this is actually probably something I should have mentioned earlier, but when did you first know you wanted to be a musician? Like, is there a certain moment you had?
I don't know. I've always been involved in it. Like, I mean, even if it's just singing along with my dad's records when I was a kid, you know. My dad wasn't a musician, but he sang in church, and my mom did too. They sang in the church choir, and he constantly played records in the house. I mean, constantly. So, and I think he wanted to be a musician. You know, he had a guitar in the house, and you know, for whatever reason, just couldn't do it. But so when I decided, I was, I guess, 9 or 10, 11 years old, something like that, when I decided I had gotten interested in the guitar and wanted to play the guitar. He was totally supportive, you know, and got me, you know, lessons. And so I had an advantage over some kids, you know, that maybe didn't have that kind of support. I had all the support I could have asked for music. In fact, he insisted I take lessons. He's like, I'm not going to get you a guitar if you're not going to actually learn it the right way, you know. So that was lucky, you know. I was lucky to have that kind of support.
Okay, so I know we talked about a lot about like the Memphis sound and like how diverse it is and stuff, but what do you think is holding Memphis back from being like the city it once was?
That's tough to say. For one thing, Nashville being 3 hours away that's sort of the center of gravity now for anybody in music. So it's very hard. It's sort of a talent drain. You know, a lot of people go to Nashville because there's so much industry there. There was a time in the 60s, 50s and 60s when Nashville and Memphis were about equal as far as a recording center. There were a lot of studios here, and they weren't clustered in one area like in Nashville, but there was a real recording scene here and a recording business here. But Nashville got just big enough that became the talent drain, and also there's a lot of economic factors here. Livability issues, I think, are a factor, or standard of living kind of issues that would, if somebody was looking at Nashville or Memphis, I want to go to Nashville, you know. So there's some of those issues, and you know, like Stax going out of business in the 70s, or 80, whatever it was, that was sort of the last straw for like the big time sort of flagship Memphis recording business, you know, ventures or whatever. But and I don't think Memphis ever quite recovered from that. But even in recent years, there's always been, you know, Ardent has always been a world-class operation, you know, and Easley McCain, before it burned, you know, was definitely a world-class studio. So it's still there, but it's way more underground now, you know, and more under the radar. But you know, the music business is in such bad shape generally all over the world, you know, that it would be I don't see Memphis becoming anything like it used to be anytime soon. You know, even just the basic fact of like recording, anybody can record now. The equipment, you know, the technology is so different now. So you don't need the big, you know, the studio scene like you used to, you know, which is a shame because that's a way of working that is lost. You know, when you have a group of musicians playing live together in one room, that is the results you get from that are totally different than the results you get recording on a computer, one instrument at a time, separately. So that's lost. That's one of the reasons old music sounds different than new music. Is because it was recorded in a completely different way, and we still record that way. That's one of the reasons we wanted to go to Philips and record with Roland. He doesn't have a computer. You know, we're recording 100% analog tape. You know, there's no undo button. You have to live with it. You know, so and it sounds different. You can't replicate that with a computer, and you can't replicate that overdubbing. So that I think is something that Memphis still has and can still contribute. I mean, and also the one thing that Memphis can contribute is that it has musicians that you don't have anywhere else in the world. So you can get a feel here. If you're looking for a particular feel, particular sound, you can get it here, and you can still get it here in the year 2012. That's something you can't get in Nashville or anywhere else. So Memphis has that to contribute. I guess what I see Memphis as being sort of a boutique recording center would be the word I would use. You're not gonna. I don't see a lot of huge hit records coming out of here, but I do see great records coming out of here. You know, records that matter. You know, that are classic. You know, or timeless or whatever. I think Memphis still makes those kind of records and will continue to. So, and you don't have to have a big recording industry to do that. You know.
So looking forward, what would your hopes be for this music in 20 years, 30 years, 40 years?
Well, I just hope people keep Memphis people keep making great records, you know, and writing great songs and mixing styles and innovating. You know, these are all things that Memphis has always done, and I think Memphis is doing it now. It might be a little sleepy at the moment, you know, things come in cycles, but I totally believe that Memphis that cycle will come back around. Probably sooner rather than later, and I think there's a lot of good stuff going on here now, and I think there will continue to be good stuff. You know, it's been really good for me. I feel like I'm doing the best work I've done here, and I wouldn't have been able to do it anywhere else. Memphis has changed the way I play, the way I think about playing. I've learned so much here, you know, and I know I'm not the only one that has that experience here. So I'm really optimistic about Memphis, about the future.
Okay. Any more questions? Okay, well, thank you so much for doing this.
Cool. Thank you for having me. I'm flattered.
Wait, what were you going to say? Sorry.
No, I would say I'm flattered to be asked.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
So I think that wraps up our
Cool.
Cool.